I've hauled steel and machinery across the desert for years. Flatbed runs, long nights, empty highways around El Paso. People think the worst part is the boredom. They have no idea what waits on the shoulder after dark. That night, I was running light. Just a short load strapped down with chains and straps, nothing special. The sky over the desert was moonless. The road was a tunnel of headlight and white line. I remember the soft rattle of the chains behind me. That sound always calms me. Metal on metal, steady, predictable. Then a new sound slipped in, a dull scrape like a loose hook dragging. I checked my mirrors. The flatbed looked fine in the glow of my lights. Load was centered, nothing swinging. The scrape kept coming, on, off, on again. I told myself it was in my head. Tires over rough patches, wind in the gear. But the sound began to sync with my breath. Every slow inhale, every shaky exhale. The desert around El Paso is strange at night. You can drive for miles without seeing another headlight. That kind of empty makes you notice every small thing. The scrape grew louder. Now it sounded like a boot on steel. Heel, toe, heel. I glanced again in the mirror. For a moment, I thought I saw movement at the very back of the trailer, just the shape of a man, outlined in red from the marker lights. Then it was gone. My chest tightened. I told myself it was a reflection, a shadow, my eyes straining in the dark. I reached for the radio, thought about calling out, but what would I say? Hey, anyone else see a man walking on my trailer? I kept rolling, mile after mile of desert brush and black sky. The scrape did not stop. Sometimes it was beside my cab, like footsteps keeping pace. Sometimes it faded back toward the axles. I tried turning up the music. The sound pushed through the song, steady, calm, patient. Finally, I saw the glow of a small pullout ahead. One of those gravel lots with a single light pole and nothing else. I told myself I needed to check my chains. That was all. Just a routine safety stop. I slowed, signaled, and eased the truck into the lot. The gravel crunched under my tires. The light over the lot flickered, once, twice, then it held, a pale orange circle in the middle of the dark. I set the brakes. Silence fell heavy in the cab. No engine roar, no road noise. The scrape stopped. My chest felt hollow. I waited, listening. Nothing. I grabbed my flashlight and opened the door. Desert air rolled in, dry and cold. I climbed down, boots hitting the gravel. The world felt huge and empty outside the safety of the cab. The night was quiet. Too quiet for a lot that close to the highway. The road noise was a distant hiss, like the ocean far away. I walked along the side of the truck, light beam cutting across the reflective tape. The flatbed stretched ahead of me like a little metal world. I checked the straps and chains as I went, all tight, all where I left them, no signs of dragging, no loose hooks. I breathed out, almost laughing at myself. The sound had just been in my head, fatigue, highway hypnosis. Then I heard gravel shift behind me. One slow step, then another. I froze beside the rear axle. My light trembled against the side of the trailer. I did not turn at first. I just listened. The steps were close now, not rushed, measured, as if whoever it was already knew I had nowhere to go. I turned the light slowly. The beam moved across the empty lot, past my cab, past the lone light pole. At the edge of the light circle, by the very back of the flatbed, a man stood. He was tall and thin. His clothes were plain, dark, the kind of layers someone wears when they live outside more than inside. But it was his face that made my throat close. Not because it was deformed or bloody, because it was completely calm, like he'd been waiting for me for a very long time. He stood next to the rear chains, the ones I had just checked. "Can I help you?" My voice came out smaller than I wanted. He did not answer. He just tilted his head a little, as if listening to something I could not hear. I stepped closer, but not too close. My light shook over his chest, his hands, his boots. His boots were dirty, coated in dust, but there was fresh, dark streaking on the soles. Not mud, There had not been rain for days. He reached out and rested one hand on the chain, just placed his palm there, gentle, like he was greeting an old friend. The metal did not move, yet I heard it. That scrape, that slow, dragging sound. Only this time I could feel it in my teeth, like it was inside my head instead of on the trailer. "You should not stop here," he said. His voice was soft and flat. No anger, no threat, just a statement. "There is nowhere else for miles," I replied. My chains sounded off. I needed to check. He smiled, but it did not reach his eyes. It looked practiced, like something he had seen other people do and was trying to copy. "You heard it?" he said. "You hear them every time." The hair on my arms rose. My flashlight felt heavy. "Every time what?" I hated how my voice shook. He did not answer. Instead, he stepped away from the trailer and took one slow step toward me. Just one. "And you still keep driving," he whispered. Something in me finally snapped. I stepped back, keeping the light on him. "Look, man, if you need a ride, I cannot. Company rules. You need to move away from the truck." He watched me, head still tilted. Then his eyes shifted past me, toward the cab. My stomach dropped. "Who is in your sleeper?" he asked. "There is no one in my sleeper," I said at once. "I drive alone." He smiled wider now, too wide, still wrong. "You should check," he said, "before you leave." The lot felt smaller, like the darkness around it had closed in. The desert seemed to lean closer, all that empty land listening. I backed away from him, keeping my light on his chest until I reached the steps of the cab. I did not turn my back on him. He did not move. He just stood by the rear chains, hand resting there again, listening to something in the metal. I climbed into the cab and slammed the door. My hands were shaking as I locked it. From my seat, I could still see him in the mirror. A dark shape at the edge of the light, one hand on the chain, head tilted toward my truck. My breath came in short bursts. I told myself I would check the sleeper just to prove him wrong. To prove myself wrong. I turned and pulled the curtain aside. The sleeper was dark, just as I left it. Blanket in a heap, pillow mashed against the wall. I leaned in with my small internal light. That was when I saw the streaks on the bedding. Thin lines of something dark on the lower corner near the floor. They were the same color as the fresh streaks on the stranger's boots. My throat closed. I backed out of the sleeper so fast I hit my shoulder. In the mirror, the man still stood by the chains. Only now, he had turned his head toward the cab, like he could see me through the glass. His lips moved, forming words I could not hear. But I knew what he was asking. "You heard it. You hear them every time." I fired the truck back up, engine shaking the cab. The vibrations made the chains hum and rattle. Out in the lot, the man stepped back into the darkness beyond the light. Not away from the truck, just deeper into the night where my headlights could not reach. I pulled out as fast as I dared, gravel spitting under the tires. The lot fell away behind me. On the highway again, the world narrowed to the lane lines and the hum of the engine. Then, slowly, the scrape returned. Not from the trailer this time, from right behind my seat, from the sleeper. I kept my eyes on the road. I did not look back. And somewhere between El Paso and the next state line, with no towns in sight, I realized something that keeps me awake even now. That man had not asked if there was someone in my sleeper. He had asked who. I do not scare easy on the road. Years of flatbed runs will sand that out of you, but there is a stretch near El Paso. I still refuse to drive at night, because of the pickup that never passed me. It was a clear night, dry and cold. I was hauling a heavy load, steel beams chained down tight. The highway was quiet, just me and the humming dark. I could see my own trailer in the mirrors, red lights glowing on the edges. After a while, I noticed headlights behind me. Far back at first. Just another vehicle, I thought. The lights were low and wide, like a pickup truck. I figured it would overtake me soon enough. Most four-wheelers do. I kept my speed steady. I like my numbers where the company likes them, not where some impatient driver wants them. The pickup stayed behind me, not too close, not far either, just at that distance where you know they are there, but you cannot see their grille. I watched in the mirror for a while. No lane changes, no attempt to pass. Just those steady twin lights glowing in the dark. Sometimes drivers hang in your blind spot without meaning to. Sometimes they are just nervous about passing a big truck at night. So I tapped my brakes lightly, flashing my brake lights as a courtesy. A little signal. You can go around if you want. The pickup kept its distance. No change. I told myself it was nothing. Night does that to your nerves. Makes normal things feel wrong. The road stretched on. No towns, no exits. Just desert brush, fences and occasional reflector posts flashing by. The pickup stayed behind me. I checked the clock on my dash. I had been seeing those headlights for longer than made sense. Longer than any casual driver would sit back there without trying something. I flipped through the radio channels, half listening, half watching the mirror. Somewhere between the static, I realized I had not seen any other headlights in a while. No oncoming traffic, no tail lights ahead. Just me and the pickup. My hands tightened on the wheel. I eased up on the throttle, let my speed drift lower. If they wanted to pass, this was their chance. Wide open lane, no curves. The pickup slowed with me, perfectly, like we were connected by a cable. A slow warmth crawled up the back of my neck. This was not nervous driving. This was deliberate. I told myself maybe it was law enforcement sitting back watching, but the lights did not look like any cruiser I knew. Too low, too plain. I reached for the radio, thought about calling out, asking if anyone nearby saw a pickup shadowing a flatbed. But the channel was dead, just hiss. The air in the cab felt thick, stale. I cracked the window, letting cold desert air slap my face. The headlights behind me wavered slightly as the road dipped. For a second, I thought I saw the shape of the truck around them. It was an old pickup, boxy, dark, no roof lights, no fancy bars, nothing to stand out. I waited for even a glimpse of the driver when the angle changed, but the windshield looked black, too dark, even for night. I decided to test them. I signaled and moved into the passing lane. No reason to, the highway was empty, but I did it anyway. The pickup followed, sliding over one lane behind me, same distance, same speed. My heart thudded slow and heavy. This was not coincidence. I moved back into the right lane. The pickup moved with me. I did it again. Right, left, right. Every time it followed, never gaining, never falling back. I could feel sweat on my palms now, even though the night was cold. The steering wheel felt slick. I tried to see the driver in the mirror. No luck. The windshield remained a solid block of dark. I told myself to calm down. Maybe they were drunk, maybe they were tired, maybe their cruise control was just set to match mine. But none of those things explain what they did next. Without warning, the pickup's headlights cut out. 1 second they were there, the next, the road behind me was just black. I jerked in my seat, instinct shouting that the truck had swerved, crashed something. I checked my mirrors again and again. Nothing, no light, no glow, just the red dots of my own trailer lights fading into the dark. I waited to see the flare of headlights bounce back as they turned them on again. Waited to see a swerve, a flicker, anything. Nothing. I should have felt relief. Instead, my stomach dropped. Because I had not passed any exits. There was nowhere for that pickup to have gone. Not that fast, not without lights. I scanned the roadside looking for a sign of a vehicle pulled off into the dirt. No silhouettes, no shapes, just desert, fence, darkness. After a while, I tried to convince myself they had turned their lights off as some kind of sick joke. Someone messing with the trucker. Someone bored and stupid. Stupid people exist. I have met plenty. I forced my eyes forward again, focusing on the white line, the curve of the road. The engine droned, a heavy, comforting noise. Minutes slipped by. I began to breathe easier. Whatever it was gone. Then I felt it. Not a sound, not yet. A weight, a faint shift in how the trailer pulled, like a load had shifted by just a hair. Flatbed drivers get good at feeling their freight. You know when something moves back there. I checked the gauges. Everything looked normal. No alarms, no strange pulls on the steering. Still, the feeling grew. A drag, a presence. I listened. At first, all I heard was wind and engine. Then slowly, there it was. A faint rumble out of sync with my tires. Not the deep thump of a blowout. Something lighter, softer, like smaller tires on rough asphalt, running close, but the mirrors showed nothing. No headlights, no shadows. The sound stayed with me. Speed up, it grew. Slow down, it eased. Always beside me. Never ahead, never behind. My throat was dry. I swallowed, tasted metal. I signaled and pulled onto the shoulder. Dust rose around the truck, catching in my headlights. I sat there for a moment, engine idling, heart pounding. The phantom rumble faded away as I came to a stop. I did not want to get out. Every part of me told me to lock the doors, stay put, and move again when I calmed down. But I am a driver. You feel something wrong, you check it. That is the rule. So I grabbed my flashlight and climbed down. The night wrapped around me like a thick blanket, too quiet. Even the insects seemed like they were holding their breath. I walked along the trailer, light biting into the dark. Chains, tight, straps, snug, tires, solid. Everything looked exactly right. I stepped out to the edge of the shoulder and aimed my light down the length of the truck. The beam cut through dust and empty air. No pickup, no car. The highway stretched away, an endless ribbon of black and silver. I turned, scanning the desert beyond the fence. Nothing. I stood there, engine rumbling behind me, feeling less alone than I should have. Like eyes were on me from somewhere I could not pinpoint. That was when I heard it. A faint crunch of gravel. Not from the shoulder, from the far side of the trailer. I moved slowly, walking around the front, my heart beating so loud it blurred the engine noise. When I reached the other side, there was nothing there. Just air, just dirt. But on the dusty shoulder, in the hard light of my flashlight, I saw them. Tire marks, narrow, deep, running parallel to my trailer. They began near the middle of the truck and ended near the back. No approach, no exit. Like a vehicle had appeared halfway along and rolled beside me until I stopped. My skin prickled. I followed the tracks with the light again and again, trying to find where they joined the road. They did not. They just started, then ended. I backed away, legs stiff. Part of me wanted to brush it off as a trick of the dirt, random patterns. Then I saw the footprints. Beside the tire marks, on the side closest to my trailer, were boot prints. A single line of them, walking along the length of my flatbed. Each one pointed toward the cab. They started near the same place as the tire tracks and ended directly below my door. The last print was turned outward, angled as if the person had stepped back and looked up at me. I stared at that last print until my flashlight began to flicker. Something in me broke loose then. I turned and grabbed the handrail, climbing back into the cab fast enough to slam my knee. I locked the doors, every latch, every manual lock. My hands shook so badly I had to grip the wheel just to keep them still. In the side mirror, I could still see the faint impression of that last print in the dirt, just visible in the edge of my headlights. I did not check the sleeper. I did not want to know if anything in there had shifted. I eased back onto the highway and picked up speed. The phantom rumble did not return, but I kept glancing at the passenger seat, the passenger window, the empty space beside me. Hours later, when I finally reached a busy truck stop, I parked under the brightest light I could find. I checked my trailer again. The dust on the deck, the chains, the beams. Near the front, close to the headache rack, I saw something that did not belong. A smear of dirt on the side of the flatbed, at about shoulder height. In the center of the smear was a rough, oval patch where the dust had been wiped away. about the size of a human hand. The next time I ran that route at night, I watched my mirrors even closer. Sure enough, somewhere past El Paso, a set of headlights appeared behind me. Low, wide, the same distance, the same steady speed. I did not wait for them to turn off. I told dispatch I was taking the long way around, daylight only. Now, when I tell new drivers about that stretch of highway, they always ask the same thing. Was it some lunatic in an old truck? Some stalker? Some highway predator? Maybe. All I know is this. Whatever was in that pickup never tried to pass me. It did not need to. It had already figured out how to pull up right alongside me in the dark, without any lights at all. I was already running tired when I left El Paso that night. Flatbed loaded with machinery, chains tight, straps humming in the wind. The desert has a way of sitting on your chest when you drive it after dark. It is too open, too quiet, too patient. I told myself I would stop at the next real exit, grab a coffee, splash water on my face, stay sharp. But the miles kept passing, and that exit never came. Just long stretches of highway and desert brush bending in the wind. The hum of the engine felt steady, almost hypnotic. I caught myself blinking slow, too slow. I needed to pull over somewhere safe. Then I saw it, a green exit sign up ahead, glowing faintly in the dark. Old, weathered, and sitting crooked like it had been hit once and never fixed. The words were faded, almost unreadable in the beam of my headlights. But I made out the shape of a town name, something with a short word, maybe a ranch, maybe a service road. It looked familiar somehow, but I could not place it. Relief washed through me. Finally, a place to stop. I signaled and eased into the off-ramp. The pavement dipped gently, then curved out of sight. No lights, no buildings, no traffic, just empty land waiting at the bottom. The ramp felt longer than usual, too long, like the road was stretching while I drove it. When I reached the bottom, I saw the shape of a small access road running parallel to the highway, 2 narrow lanes, no markings, no reflectors. But there was a rest area sign, a small wooden post with a blue square nailed to it. The kind of sign you see on old, forgotten roads. It pointed left. I turned. My headlights cut across rough asphalt. Cracks, faded lines, a road no one had bothered to maintain for years. I rolled slow, my trailer bounced slightly behind me, chains clinked against steel. My eyes adjusted. Up ahead was a wide gravel pullout, enough room for 2 or 3 trucks, but only one was there. A dark semi, parked without any lights, no hazards, no cab lights, just a long, silent shape crouched in the dirt. I felt a cold ripple run down my arms. I pulled to the far side of the lot, giving as much distance as possible. Shut down the engine. Sat there a moment. The desert wind hissed across the gravel. The other truck did not move. No driver stepped out. No door opened. I stared at it through my windshield. There was something wrong about the angle. Like the cab was slightly turned, but the trailer was perfectly straight. A posture that did not look natural. I told myself I was being dramatic. Fatigue, highway nerves. I cracked the window and listened. Nothing. No insects, no engines, not even a distant coyote. The silence pressed in on me. I decided to check my load, just to stay awake a little longer. I grabbed my flashlight and stepped down onto the gravel. The air was cold, colder than it should have been. Like a pocket of night had settled over that pullout and refused to leave. My boots crunched loudly, too loudly. The sound echoed off the darkness. I walked along my trailer. Everything looked normal. Chains tight, straps not frayed. But as I reached the back, I felt a prickling at the base of my neck, that sense you get when someone is watching you from just outside the circle of light. I turned my flashlight toward the other truck. The beam landed on the cab. Dusty windshield, dark interior. Mirrors angled down, not out. Then the light moved along the side of the trailer. The reflective tape was scratched in places, not scraped like from a branch or fence, scratched in thin, vertical lines, like fingernails. I stepped closer without meaning to. The lines ran from the top edge down toward the tires, not deep, but deliberate. Dozens of them. My breath hitched. I took one more step. Then I realized something. There were no footprints around the truck, none leading to it. None leaving it. Nothing in the gravel except my own prints. The trailer looked abandoned, but not old, not rusted, not weathered, just wrong, like it had been placed there, not driven. I lifted my flashlight again, aiming at the cab. For a split second, just a flicker, I saw a face in the windshield, pressed close to the glass, eyes wide, mouth open, but not moving. When I blinked, the face was gone. Just empty dark behind the glass. A sharp whisper of wind slid across my ear. I whipped around. No one there. Still, the feeling grew stronger. Something behind me, something close. I backed away slowly, light trembling in my hand. My boots stumbled over a ridge of gravel. I kept retreating until I reached my own cab. I climbed in and locked the doors. My breathing was fast now, shallow and uneven. I checked my mirrors, my trailer, the gravel pullout, the other truck. Everything looked the same, still, dead, quiet. I turned the key. The engine growled to life, comforting and loud. I needed to get back to the highway, back to any place real, any place that did not feel like it had been forgotten for a reason. I eased forward and circled the lot. The headlights swept across the other truck one last time. In that moment, something shifted inside the dark cab. A small movement, a shape turning its head. I did not wait to see more. I pressed the accelerator and rolled toward the access road. The gravel crunched under the tires. The pullout fell behind me. The road back to the ramp felt shorter this time, strangely short. Too short, like the distance had collapsed. When I reached the top, ready to merge back onto the highway, I looked for the green exit sign. The crooked one, the one that had saved me from nodding off. It was gone, not knocked down, not turned. Gone. No post, no bolt holes. Nothing but smooth dirt where the sign should have been. My pulse hammered in my throat. I checked the map on my dash. The exit I had taken was not there, just a blank stretch of highway. I eased onto the pavement and picked up speed. My eyes locked on the mirrors again and again, waiting to see headlights, waiting to see that dark semi pull back onto the road. But the highway stayed empty. Just white line, just desert, just the sound of my chains humming. Later that night, at a brightly lit station, I told another driver what I had seen. He listened without expression. When I finished, he nodded and said quietly, "You are not the first. There are places out there that show up only when you are too tired to fight sleep. Places you are not supposed to stop at, not supposed to see." I asked him if he had ever taken that exit. He shook his head, said he would not take an unmarked ramp in that part of the desert, not for anything. "Next time," he told me, "just keep driving. If you are tired, open the window, turn the radio up, but do not take a road you have never seen during the day." I wanted to argue. Say I had seen the sign. Say it was right there, crooked and glowing. But the more I thought about it, the less certain I was. All I know is this. Out in the dark, somewhere between El Paso and the state line, there is a stretch of highway where an exit appears only when you are exhausted enough to take it. And if you do, you might find a place where other trucks are waiting. Trucks that do not belong to anyone. Trucks that have been waiting a long, long time. And something inside them might be waiting too. I do not stop for unknown exits anymore, even when I am dead tired, even when I am desperate for rest, because some roads are not on the map for a reason, and some places in the desert exist only to see who is foolish enough to turn in.